I miss good thighs.
I can see that. You've got your cork still in your bottle.
So I have. What are you going to do about it?
Stick your arm out.
The management of the Hotel Tropical present their compliments and hope you will enjoy your stay with us.
I see.
Very sexy pants you're wearing, James.
Yes, they're the new 00 fronts. Tell me, Miss, Good Thighs, how much did you tip the porter to let you in here?
I just showed him a little kindness.
How much?
Not too much. He's 83.
Ah, it's a good year. So, what can I do for you?
The question should be, what can I do for you?
Oh, have you got any suggestions?
This for one. Tell me about yourself, James.
Oh, well, I've had some pretty wild times in my life. Could you move over a bit? You're lying on my loose change.
James, I need you.
Yes. Well, I can understand that, my dear. I can understand that.
I want to know you better.
You're absolutely right. My goodness, this is strong shampoo. It really is. Look, I think I better freshen up a bit quick. I'll be back in 5 minutes. If I'm not, start without me.
Hello again. Essay here. Well, what can I say about in a previous video I mentioned how a lot of these liberal women were having hissy fits. Well, apparently they're taking the hissy fits to a different level. And you say, wait, how? Well, anyone who remembers Arsenic and Old Lace, it's an old Frank Capra film, I'm not going to bore you with the details, will probably see what's coming down the road. And all I can say is, I don't know if these women are sincere, or they're just blowing off steam, or are they actually really, truly planning something crazy. Okay? But, hey, old Tim Pool, he has the receipts. And believe me, once you see this video, man, man, you're not going to believe it. Okay? Are you ready? Here we go.
Yep. Yeah, you read that right. There are women on social media right now calling for men to be murdered through poisoning. They are calling on liberal women whose husbands voted for Donald Trump to die. This is crazy, man. And I got questions. I do. So first, Roseanne Barr owes Michael Malice $1,000 because she bet there would be no election. Not only was there an election, but Donald Trump won. But Rudyard Lynch of What If Alt History came on this show. He came on Tim Castire, I should say, and the Culture War. And he said he had a bet that 1,000 people would die by April for political reasons because the instability in this country. The first thing I want to say is Trump won clean. He won bigly. He won the popular vote. We're waiting for the results from the House, but it's looking like Republicans will have the House, the Senate, Supreme Court, and the executive branch. And this was the best case scenario. The popular mandate should calm everybody down. And fringe zealots like this, who are making these posts, should be, well, if someone loses this is a challenge, right? I believe that there's criminal elements in this right now, in that they are basically telling women to commit crimes. We have to balance free speech, but I think this should be investigated. And should anything happen, I think people should go to jail for what they're posting. It's called Aqua Tofana, and they're saying Make Aqua Tofana Great Again. It's a story about a woman who sold poison to Italian women to kill their husbands. 600 men are believed to have been killed by poisoning. This is unacceptable, should be called out. These social media platforms should be removing these posts. I am not, and I will say this to the left. They're like, I thought you opposed censorship, Tim. I have always been in favor of censorship. I have always opposed political censorship based on people's political views and opinions. But I've always said, so we had Emma Vigeland from this Majority Report, and she goes, so you're pro-censorship? I said, yes. We should not be having these books in schools for kids. Are you crazy? Some things should be censored. Graphic imagery on social media should not be, it can be removed. I have no problem with any of that stuff. The problem we have is political censorship. You can't go on social media and tell people to kill. You should be banned for that. That crosses the line. Now, the question then is for a lot of people, is it illegal? Fine. Criminally charge these people, whatever. Look at this. New York Post. Women online have taken to filming ghoulish murder fantasy videos in which they romanticize lacing men's beverages with deadly poison as a justifiable response to fears about abortion rights under Trump. Many of the videos have been viewed millions of times on X or TikTok, featuring young women fiendishly grinning as they adulterate a cup of tea or other drink with an unknown substance. Some of the women have dubbed the videos part of the Make Aqua Tofana Great Again movement, a nod both to Trump's campaign slogan and ancient killer Giulia Tofana, who has been adopted as the disturbed group's heroine. Tofana was a 17th century Italian woman who sold poison to wives who wished to dispatch their abusive husbands, resulting in the deaths of more than 600 men. Tofana's signature brew was a mishmash of deadly ingredients known as Aqua Tofana, a concoction that was so effective she is considered by many today to be one of the most prolific serial killers. The poison, believed to be flavorless and completely undetectable after death, was typically stored in ordinary cosmetics bottles, ensuring that a husband who was about to get whacked would be none the wiser to his impending fate. One of the online clips shows a young lady with green hair, a backwards camo hat, and large spiked septum ring, with the text, Aqua Tofana isn't that hard to make, superimposed over an image of her making the throat-slitting gesture with her thumb. Many of the videos include a portion of the Eminem song Venom, with the lyrics, there will be a better place. Geez, I'm not going to read that. Wow. Some of the women don't mention Aqua Tofana specifically, but instead show off their poison rings, wearable baubles with a hidden compartment supposedly made to hold a lethal dose of a toxin. My advice for women, reads the text of a video. I know you will understand this. They asked for it, the text reads, before she flips open her poison ring and gives a smile. I think this is advocacy for murder, and these people should, at the very least, these posts should be taken down. I got no problem with that. They want to say hate speech should be removed and all that stuff. No. Saying that you should poison people or this is too far as I'm concerned. In a plea for common sense, a woman posted on TikTok urging people participating in Matga to think long and hard about what they're doing. You do know those videos can be used against you, right? It's giving off premeditated vibes. The internet is forever. The 1600s were a lot different than 2024 advancements in detecting poison. They're basically making the argument that Aqua Tofana couldn't be detected. They're telling these stories where this woman back in the day sold this poison, and when the men died, they were like, we have no idea how this could have happened, and they couldn't prove it. These days, very easy. It'll be very easy to prove these women this is crazy. Liberal women have been registering their dismay at the outcome through Matga in a number of ways, documenting these things online. Here's the post going viral. This is Giulia Tofana. She's responsible for the deaths of over 600 abusive husbands in 17th century Italy. Her poison was called Aqua Tofana and would have come in a bottle disguised as cosmetics. Let's pull that up. Aqua Tofana. Look at this. Known as Aqua Tofana, Tufania, Mana di San Nicola. Interesting. A strong poison created in Sicily around 1630, reputedly widely used in Palermo, Naples, Perugia, Rome, Italy, associated with Giulia Tofana, a woman purportedly the leader of a ring of 6 poisoners in Rome who sold the poison to would-be murderers. That's crazy. Poisoning by Aqua Tofana could go unnoticed as the substance is clear and has no taste. Slow acting, with symptoms resembling progressive disease or other natural causes. The symptoms seen are similar to the effects of arsenic poisoning. Those poisoned by aqua tofana reported several symptoms. The first small dose would produce cold-like symptoms. The victim was very ill by the third dose. Symptoms included vomiting, dehydration, diarrhea, and a burning sensation in the digestive system. The fourth dose would kill the victim. As it was slow-acting, it allowed victims time to prepare for their death, including writing a will and repenting. The antidote often given was vinegar and lemon juice. Really? The legend that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was poisoned using aqua tofana is completely unsubstantiated, even though it was Mozart himself who started this rumor. Wow. Wild, man. There are dangerously unhinged people. Dangerously unhinged. And this is what we're starting to see.
Okay, you saw that, right? Now, of course, as you saw in Tim's video, it's one thing to blow off some steam and stamp your feet and say, oh, I'm angry. But when you go advocating homicide on a open digital forum, that can get you a knock on the door from the police. Now, of course, as you saw in Tim's video, these women kept quoting something called aqua tofana. And I have to admit, I had to look it up myself because I never heard of it. But yeah, according to the history books, this aqua tofana was originally developed by some woman back in Italy in the 17th century, as Tim said in his video. But what Tim didn't say was that apparently it wasn't who you think it was. Yeah, according to the history books, it was this woman called Tofana di Damo. And believe me, my Italian ain't worth a damn, but bear with me. And according to the history books, this woman was hung in 1633 in Palermo. Why? Because she had murdered her husband, Francisco, poisoning him. And apparently she was also peddling poisons to other women during that same time period. And this is the part that's really, really wobbly. But according to the history books, while the mother did get strung up from poisoning people, the daughter apparently was not involved. And you say, what? Yeah, people keep quoting Julia Tofana, but apparently, according to the history books, that was her mother, it wasn't her. And indeed, according to the history book, it says that Tofana, who was one who got strung up for poisoning people, they said her daughter fled Palermo and ended up in Rome after her mother's execution, and she founded a business selling poisons in Rome. And one of the poisons was called aqua tofana, and named after her mother. However, this is where the story just kind of goes off the rails. Okay. Now, according to the history books, it says that the daughter, while she was selling poisons, her actual name wasn't Tofana. Her actual name was Julia Maggiorani. Like I said, my Italian ain't worth spit, okay? I mean, beyond Chef Boyardee and Ragatoni, like I said, I start tripping over my own tongue, but bear with me. Yeah. And they said that the daughter actually went to Rome before her mother's execution. Almost like a full decade before her mother was executed. And while the history books say that the daughter did have a business in Rome selling poisons, that business was eventually handed over to her stepdaughter, a Germana Spinelli. Yeah, And then you say, well, how'd they get the names? Then they say, now you're at this point, you say, well, how'd they get it all confused? Well, this is the part that's funny. They said that apparently the mythos that Julia Tofana was in the poisoning business came out as a myth in the 19th century, inspired by hypnotists. And you say, wait, what? Yeah, I know. That's what the history book says. Apparently a bunch of hypnotists in the 19th century made up the myth that it was Julia Tofana, not her mother, who was the poisoner. And as of course, as his book says, her mother got caught and was strung up. And as for the stepdaughter, well, things didn't work out for her either. Because according to the history books, this Giromani, she, according to the history books, she was strung up as well. And you say, what? Yeah. It says that while she was a part-time astrologer, she was a full-time poisoner. And she was a central figure in a something called the Spana prosecutions, which took place in Rome in January 1659 until 1660, and that she was arrested with a bunch of other women who were part of this network of poisoners in Rome, who were dispensing this poison to clients, as you saw in Tim Pool's video, trying to kill off their husbands and boyfriends and whatnot. And they said that after a trial, this woman, Germana Spana, she was executed along with 4 other accomplices for having distributed poison to clients intent on murder. And they says here that according to the official record, they said the poisoning business was exposed by papal authorities with the arrest of one of the poison sellers, a woman called Giovanna Di Grassi, who was arrested, basically caught in the act in January 1659. And she was in prison, and it was there when she basically fingered her accomplices. And then they said that in February that year, Smana was arrested and taken to papal prison, because back then, like I say, Italy was mostly controlled by the church. So, and they said that even though she was interrogated, she denied all accusations and stood by her denials until for months, despite repeated interrogations and being confronted by former associates. And she was willing to answer questions, but she tried to not implicate herself. And according to the historical record, Spana was described as much more resilient than her fellow prisoners, and she did not even talk about her guilt in the confessions to a priest. And they said her lack of a confession was a problem since the law did not permit executions without it. And she did not confess until June 20th of that year. And she finally signed a long statement of guilt in regards to poisoning. And then they said that after that, the investigation, the prosecutions went on for several months until early in 1660, involving about 40 people accused of either using the poison or selling it. And then finally, and Spana, along with, like I said, this woman, Giovanna Di Grassi, Maria Spinoli, Giagrassi Famiglia, and Laura Crispatoli were all executed in the Campo di Flori, which is a small square in modern-day Italy, and they were all executed in July 1659. Now, of course, if you saw in Tim's video, these women are sitting there talking about, those people supposedly got away with it, and we could do it nowadays. Not so fast, player. According to the history books, those women didn't get away with it either. They all got caught. And therefore, when you jump forward to the present day, anyone who's ever watched CIS knows that you can run, but you can't hide. Especially with modern forensics. I mean, no joke. I mean, don't these people know that nowadays know that modern forensics are so good that if you even give someone a slow acting poison, if they do a thorough toxicology and don't screw it up, they'll likely find the poison. Just the way it works nowadays. Indeed, everyone remembers what happened with Armstrong. You know, the guy who won, was it the Tour de France all those times? Remember that? I remember that. And if you remember, in that case, even though he wasn't poisoning people, he was just taking a cool cocktail of various chemicals to basically, win all those races. According to the history books, he got away with it for a while because the people who ran the Tour de France were not checking for every possible concoction you could imagine for performance enhancement. And if you remember, Armstrong dropped out after, was he officially won like 7 races? Only because the people who ran the Tour de France changed the parameters of their testing to check for other substances. And he knew that if he tried to show up again to try an 8th race, he would have gotten caught. And if you remember, that's why he quit. But apparently he didn't tell his teammates why he was quitting, because if you remember, his teammates who took over the American team, they got caught. Because apparently he must have been sharing the same performance enhancer with all of them, but then he forgot to tell them, hey man, you shouldn't be using it because they changed the testing protocol and you're likely to get caught. And of course the same thing happened with the Russian team. Remember way back, I think it was the 2012 Olympics? And it came out afterwards that a bunch of them got caught using performance-enhancing drugs that apparently the Olympics hadn't tested for in the past. But then they, like with the case with the Tour de France, they changed their testing parameters, and that's how the Russians got caught. Yeah, and indeed they're still arguing about that today. But in the case of the Russians, I think it's more political than actual performance-enhancing drugs. And you say, wait, what? Yeah. And I'm not going to get into the political aspects, but yeah, the Russians have been arguing with the IOC for years about the whole damn deal. And even though it happened like over 12 years ago, they're still being given the smackdown. So, but yeah, like I said, even though initially they were given a smackdown over the cheating in the Olympics, they're still being smacked down for other reasons now. Like I said, political reasons, which I'm not going to get into. But yeah. So as far as these women are concerned, apparently they don't read history books. Because if they did, they should know better. They should know that if they slip some Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street corner, some Mickey, or something worse, they're going to get caught. They're just going to get caught. Now, of course, they probably won't get hung like those women were back in Italy. But, yeah. I'm pretty certain if you try to slip some clown off the street corner, some clown who doesn't know you from a hole in the wall, all because you're butthurt over an election, trying to poison some random guy, you're going to go to prison. You're not going to pass go. You're not going to elect $200. You're going to go straight to your skinny butt, or in some cases you saw some of those videos, your big wide butt's going to go straight to the penitentiary. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. None. Zip. Zero. That's it. Now, if some of you crazy ladies are actually watching this video, yeah, just forget about it. Or as the corporals used to say back in the tri-state area, just forget about it, okay? Just go over in the corner, have a Coke and a smile, and shut the fuck up. Because you're just going, because as someone once said a long time ago, talking about the situation that was going on with Suge Knight and MWA back in the past, there was a lot of drama going on. And I think it was Eazy-E wanted to kill Suge Knight, but he was talked out of it because he was told that, oh yeah, you killed this Palooka, his problems are over, but your problems would just be beginning. Well, yeah. Take that advice. Don't be going around trying to poison people, because even if you are successful in killing somebody, yeah, that poor schmuck, his problems are over, but your problems will just be beginning. No joke. Well, that's all I gotta say about these crazy cat ladies wanting to poison the whole world because of butthurt over election. And that's my opinion.
There's two eyes for every one of us, but somebody got them first and took them home. It's so American. Man, oh man, yeah, you're so American. Man, oh man, you think it's so American.